I know I sound pretty confusing, so here are a few examples that I listed out in front of me, so I'm just gonna read them because I keep stuttering. Basically, if one's Catholic, I don't assume that they do things a Catholic would do or know things a Catholic should know, because who gets a say in that? Really, like when it comes to religion, it's just a sign nowadays. Back in the old days, you literally have to die for your beliefs. Like, bro. And it's same with philosophy. I don't brand people as much as I can as followers of X philosophy. Like, oh, this guy practices stoicism, that guy like Schopenhauer, that guy's like a Nietzsche dick rider. I try my best to brand other people's beliefs as their own. I think people should see that way, that sure, some of them could have been inspired from, other philosophies and philosophers, but it's still their choice to follow through and uphold them. It's their own thing. Basically, like for me, for example, I'm a big fan of stoicism even though I suck at it. But can you say that I follow stoicism? No. What I'm trying to say is the philosophy I have is Homer's philosophy. And that guy over there's philosophy is that guy's philosophy. And whatever different philosophies makes up that philosophy, whether it be flawed or based from whatever philosophies there are, that's on him. It's his philosophy. So I shouldn't assume that just because he identifies as this thing, I assume that he follows everything about that thing, basically. And one very good, very, very good example is when it comes to gender and age. These are things that started with these two. Like, both of these are the last things I try my best to not base my judgments of a person on. Doesn't mean you're a guy, I expect you to be able to do this or that, like a guy is expected to do. Okay, that took a while to say. And the same applies if you're a girl or if you're part of the LGBT. I don't expect to see fudge. This is difficult. I don't expect you to do the things I expect a girl is expected to do, or an LGBT person is expected to do, whatever those may be, because it's seen in media. It's very difficult, and we do this unconsciously. It literally doesn't make any difference to me if you're a girly guy or a guyy girl. Is that a thing, or a mix of both, or if you identify as an attack helicopter or a season, or like the rainy season. I literally don't care. It legit doesn't matter to me. I regard you as this, like just you. I try my best to not expect of what society and media told me to expect and anticipate about you. One's gender and what they identify as is probably one of the last things I consider when I choose who I approach and interact with. And yes, I am reading it because this is a tongue twister, and it's pretty ironic and hypocritical, since I get very nervous around girls and outwardly gay guys. But I have a good reason for that. That misses the point. I'll make a video on that probably. I have reasons and I'm working on that. Anyways, lastly, age. I think age as an example hits it home. Doesn't mean someone's older than me, doesn't mean I can immediately assume that they know better than me, or they know what they're doing and that they have shit figured out. And it works vice versa. And doesn't mean that you're younger than me and less experienced than me, but that's the thing. Why did I just assume that just because you're younger, you're less experienced? See my point? This kid could have experienced some real traumatic shit and I wouldn't know about it. Or I could be right and he doesn't know that life and society is cruel. See my point? We never know. We shouldn't jump to conclusions. So to sum up, this video is getting pretty long and I'm gonna try my best to cut this down. My respect, my opinion, my approach towards people, the image of people in which I paint of them in my head, I base it off of objective, observed characteristics from which I can make out of and infer by directly interacting with them personally and getting to understand them firsthand. And this takes time, which is probably why people don't do it, because it takes a lot of effort. Basically, understand them for who they are as a person, not a mold, not a preconceived notion, no beliefs, just backstory and all, like as their name, as a soul, and not impressions based out of preconceived stereotypes and demographics and titles of their identity. As a final example, as for me, I'd like to be regarded as, well, Homer, as me. So, remove all your preconceived beliefs of guys with glasses being nerds, how guys with a yee ass haircut like this usually act, that even though I say I am a devout Catholic, it doesn't mean I cannot try to employ Buddhist principles in my life, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Heck, that even if I'm a guy, you'd expect me to have qualities of what a guy should be or what society expects a guy should be. Like, what if I have a softer and more emotional side? Like, heck, even a feminine side. This is not me coming out, I think. But if I acted like that, will you immediately assume that I'm queer or bi, and suddenly the stereotypes shift, and I expect me to do this and this and this? Basically, get that all out. I try my best to get all of that out. We as humans tend to jump to conclusions and speed paint the images of people we have in our head, and this is something that I haven't really heard people talk about. I haven't really done enough research on it. Basically, I'm simply being me. You're simply being you. That guy named Fred is simply being Fred. It doesn't matter if he's a guy, an attack helicopter. I don't care if he's short, tall. I don't expect him to act like a tall person or a short person or an attack helicopter. I get rid of stereotypes. I don't fit the stereotypes of a demographic, and my actions do not align with my expectations of my outward identity. But if people do that, then that's on them, and that's totally fine, because most people really don't think this way. Because it's easy. Just, if he seems like a guy, you expect him to act like a guy. If he's gay, and there's nothing wrong with being gay, by the way, you'd associate him or dig your database of all the gay people you've seen and met throughout your entire life and in the media, and try to have an approximation of how they would act. But you have no idea how they would act, because you just met this person. So I guess that's something to check up on from 5 years from now. Me, I wonder how this view of mine, of yours, of ours will serve us. And yeah, this is my longest video so far. This will take forever to upload. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, cheers.